Now before you say anything, everyone take a deep breath, relax, say hello to the iPhone SE. This is definitely not the first Apple product I've ever purchased, and it will probably not be the last, but when I saw a new iPhone that I thought would fit comfortably into my hands, my reasonably small hands, I knew I had to at least give it a shot. So what we have here is the 16GB silver iPhone SE. I know, 16 gigs, why do you even sell a phone that's 16 gigs anymore? They didn't have 64 gigs in stock, and honestly, I just wanted to get this in hand and see if I even liked it, maybe use it for a few days, and if it's absolutely terrible, Apple has an excellent return policy, so I can always take it back. If it's excellent and I absolutely love it and want to have it as a backup phone, Apple sells the 64 gig model online, and they again have that excellent return policy, so it can go back. But let's see what's in the box, as if we're going to be surprised. So here's the phone, SIM ejector tool. I did buy the unlocked one. I didn't choose to go with any of the carriers on this. Documentation and stickers, a pair of earpods, a wall charger, and a lightning cable. And it's almost impossible to read what it says on there, but I think it says 5 volts at 1 amp. But that's not what you're here for. On to the meat and potatoes of the package. So I've done some reading up on the iPhone SE, and essentially what Apple has done is they've taken the body of the iPhone 5S and they've put some of the guts from the iPhone 6S inside of it. So you've got that same rear-facing 12 megapixel camera capable of 4K video, the same processor, the same RAM, again 16 gigs of storage if you opt for the small one, or 64 gigs of storage. But they did also put in last generation Touch ID, a very low resolution panel, and the 720p iSight camera on the front. So not a big fan of those things. But let's go ahead and start it up. It does have that 3.5mm headphone jack. There's your lightning port, speaker, rear-facing dual-tone flash. Very, very nice to see that. Power button on the top, volume rocker on the left-hand side, mute switch on the left-hand side. Absolutely love that. SIM tray here on the right, and that's pretty much it. And we're ready to go. It actually says hello, it's done. Did not take a huge amount of time to boot up. It says no SIM cards installed. Obviously, I don't have one in there yet, but we'll go ahead and go through the setup process. Unsurprisingly, this does have 5G Wi-Fi in it, so it can connect to my 802.11 AC network. And I will say, having just spent this much time typing on it, that wasn't a bad experience with 2 thumbs. While we're sitting here getting things set up, let me put you a little bit of context out there. For the last few weeks, I've been using the Galaxy S7 as my primary device, which is a 5.2-inch phone, and the Galaxy S7 Edge, sorry, that's very, very shiny, as a backup phone from Verizon because they allowed me to borrow it for a few weeks. So we have a couple of relatively larger devices. The 5.2 is one of the smaller ones you can get now, but then you put the iPhone SE up next to it, and yeah, so much smaller. Interestingly enough, it says SIM required. I must have a SIM card in order to activate the phone. That's a bit of a bummer. Well, rather than using their fancy Apple SIM ejector tool, I'm gonna use my down-home Kentucky favorite paperclip. But we are activating. It says could not activate. Never mind, I tried it again and it appeared to work. Now it wants to set up Touch ID. Start by pressing your finger or thumb on the home button. Okay, lift and rest your finger repeatedly. It had me set up a PIN code to go along with that, and we're ready to do iTunes stuff. I do love the fact that there's a move data from Android option there. Let's see what it says. iOS, move from Android. If you have an Android phone or tablet, you can transfer your photos, messages, and more. Download the Move to iOS app on your Android device to get started. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. We're just going to go through and set this up as a new iPhone. Give it my Apple ID information. Yeah, typing on this is actually a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. You have to be a little bit more deliberate, but actually once you start paying attention to it, it's not that bad. There's some Apple Pay information, iCloud keychain, there's Siri. Hey Siri. That wasn't a bad process at all. Now it's ready, so whenever you say that phrase again, it's going to work. Diagnostics, no, we don't want to send any data. Get started. And there you go. We're now inside the new iPhone, and it's already dinging at me because Cricket has started working. So in case you're somehow unfamiliar with iOS, this is what it looks like by default. You know, you've got a couple of pages of apps. You have no app drawer. You pull down, you have your centralized access to everything, calendar, stocks, notifications if you have any, and then you've got all these pre-installed apps. Now, one of the reasons I was really interested in this, if you missed it somehow, I do daily vlogs over on my second channel, so whatever camera I can get my hands on that's a good camera, I'm really interested in, and this one has a 4K camera on the back of it. This is a camera you can get 4K video out of for $400. You can only get 16 gigs of 4K video on that. For $500, you can get 64 gigs, which is really interesting. The downside, of course, being that the front-facing camera only does 720p video. But I did do a little bit of testing of the camera inside of the store, and it was not bad in the slightest. And when you go into your settings, under Photos and Camera, you can see all these settings here. But then there's also the camera settings. So record video, it defaults to 1080p 30. You can set it to 1080p 60, which is what I'm gonna do right now because this video is 1080p 60. There's also 4K at 30 frames a second. Again, that's why I was very interested in this. 1080p, good looking video, or if you want to, up to 4K if you wanna use this as a B-roll camera for something. But just for the heck of it, let's go ahead and do a quick test. So there's Yoda over in the corner, and there's video of me sitting here in my studio lights in my home office. Yeah, just holding it out away from my face. This is about at arm's length, so this is about as wide as you can expect it to be. I can see myself in the viewfinder over there, so I can see that I'm covered from about here up, and I'm framing myself about how I should. So This just gives you a little bit of a sample of what you could expect if you use the iPhone SE. And I will say, going back to it, I don't think I was aware that it did 1080p 60. Somehow I missed that along the way. So I'm actually very pleased about that. And just a little bit of usage that I've had so far, it is kind of warm in this general area. It's not hot by any means. If I'd been doing 4K video, it might be. In fact, let me just test that real quick. Only recorded about 20 or 30 seconds there. It's still kind of warm, but not hot. I still haven't actually tested the Touch ID, so let's see how that works. So the screen is off. I press the button and hold it for just a second, and it unlocks the phone. I do it with my finger, it unlocks the phone. Do it with the other thumb, it unlocks the phone. It's not the fastest thing I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of really good fingerprint sensors at this point. Like this one has missed there one time so far. If you just hold it there deliberately for a second, yeah, it'll work. But anyway, this video has been going on for entirely too long. If you'd like to see more about the iPhone SE, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. I'm merely doing this out of curiosity and because I haven't touched an iPhone in a long time. Bit of trivia here, my very first smartphone, when I first moved away from a flip phone, it was an iPhone. It was the original iPhone. So I went from that to the 3GS and from the 3GS to an Android phone. And I've been Android or Windows Phone ever since, mostly Android. So I think it'll be kind of nice to take a step back and see how the other side lives for a little while. So far, I'm absolutely loving the size and the feel in the hand, but it's slippery as all get out, so I may have to invest in a case for it. But the screen looks pretty good to me. It's got decent viewing angles. It's about as bright as I would like it to be. I think I'm actually going to enjoy this. Maybe not as a primary, but definitely as a backup, as a secondary. So again, let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like to see about this. I do have some interesting ideas. As always though, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a thumbs down if you didn't. I definitely understand. Subscribe if you want to receive more of my videos when they become available. I will say though, please do not unsubscribe because of this. This is an experiment. This is fun. I've got to immerse myself in all sides of technology and this is one of them. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you again next time.